But
Hi, Mom.
if you ever see it stop, just let me know.
Hi.
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 1, 2, 3, test. All right, good.
ASMR for you.
All right, whenever you're ready, I'll just start the intro and then I'll do my disclaimer and start with my review.
What's up, everybody? We are Cinematics here, about to do a debate, our first one that we've done here on the channel. Delved into that a little bit in our 80s video, but this is going to be our first full-fledged debate over which Batman film we think is best. We are all three mega Batman fans here, so we all have very strong opinions about our individual Batmen and the Batman films. So we're going to be talking about three different ones here. I'm here with John and Justin of Cinematics, and I don't know if you guys want to all go around and say what your entry was. If we want to start with you, Justin.
Yeah, so disclaimer, as of right now, I do think The Dark Knight is the best Batman film, but in the case of all three of us, some of us might have the same pick. I am going with The Batman, Robert Pattinson's most recent entry of a Batman film that came out this past year, 2022. So that's what I'm going with, The Batman.
Nice.
I'm that one who had The Dark Knight picked as their Batman entry, so that is going to be my representative of the day.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and have the only animated Batman film. I think arguably the best, if not the best Batman film, in my opinion, Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
All right. So, grab your batarangs and suit up. Because we're starting with you, Justin, talking about the most recent entry, The Batman.
No pressure.
All right.
Represented as your best
Guys, Justin's
Batman
going to talk.
film.
I know, right? Yeah, based on the first podcast, I didn't talk for quite a while, but I have changed in the past 2, 3, 4 weeks. So
I thought he died.
The Batman.
Character development.
Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. A very quick turnaround for a recasting. Just a fun fact, I saw this on, I think it was Instagram. There's like this timeline of Batman recast, and like you start with Adam West in the 60s. Then 30 years later you get Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
Then 15 years later you get let's see,
Bale.
from 92, you get Bale, 2005. Then 10 years later you get Affleck. 5 years later you get Pattinson. So in 2.5 to 3 years we're due for a recast.
Keaton to Kilmer would be our quickest.
Technically, yes.
Or
but as
Kilmer
far
to
as
Clooney.
universes go, the recast is like dwindling
Reboot.
by half every time. I would love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman universe go on for about a decade at least, so we can get 3, 4, 5 films. I think that's never been done before well, so I think we gotta get that. But anyway, The Batman. Oh man, I am going back to a note that I had from the night after we watched the Batman movie in theaters. I want to say it was opening week or opening night even. It was a great experience. I had a feeling he was going to be good. I just didn't know how good he was going to be. Just going off of my quick rankings, I like to go through like the story, score, editing, all that stuff. So the story, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Score was phenomenal. Michael Giacchino blew me away. He's done so many films recently in the past decade, like some Marvel stuff, a couple of DC things, but I think this one is one of his best. A 9 out of 10. The only reason I give it a 9 out of 10 is because Hans Zimmer's Dark Knight trilogy is perfection. Editing, 8 out of 10. It was really well done. I personally wouldn't do anything different, but it was a long movie. I think some stuff could have been cut out. I think all of you would agree.
I would 100% agree.
I would agree with that.
But having said that, I think it was what we needed to see in a new Batman film to make it feel different, more detective style, stuff like that. I don't want to go too deep yet. Effects, CGI, they used a lot of virtual production, which looked pristine. a lot of times when you see virtual production, you can kind of notice, but this time it was well done. It was used when it needed to be. Practical was used when it needed to be. Character development, 6 out of 10. I need to see more. It was the first installment of what could be a trilogy or a quadrilogy and stuff like that. So it's not to his detriment, but I think it was just a start. Acting, solid 10 out of 10. Pattinson was great. Catwoman was great. Penguin was great. Gordon was great. I could go on. I will go on. Visuals, 9 out of 10. I love the way they used the lens. You know what it is. It like the aberration.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an old
Helios,
school.
right?
Huh?
Helios
Oh,
lens.
yeah.
It looks
old school.
good.
Yeah. Where just the middle of the frame is in focus, but everything else, the chromatic aberration, everything else is out of focus.
And they shot everything with the actor in the center frame most of the time to get that effect. And then the last thing, pacing, 6 out of 10. Like I said, it was a long movie. I like it. I could watch it, but I can't watch it like today and then watch it tomorrow. Like I need some time to recoup. Could have been edited faster, but I think that was what they were trying to go for. As far as characters go, I think the one that stole the show for me was Catwoman. I was genuinely shocked. Before that, we had seen Michelle Pfeiffer, and as far as live action goes, Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway, which I think both did a great job. But Zoe Kravitz felt like the Arkham games for me.
Yeah.
And you could feel the like tug between her and Bruce, and even her and Falcone, which that was a whole twist that I didn't see coming. So I think she stole the show. And I wrote down here, like, by the end of the movie, I was thinking to myself, I would love to just see a movie or a spin-off show with her, which spin-off shows can go into the trash bin because most of them suck.
Right.
But I think if they did do a spin-off show with Catwoman and included some side characters like Penguin and stuff like that, it would go over really well.
I agree.
Penguin, Colin Farrell blew me away too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You could not recognize him.
No.
I didn't even know he was, I think he's Irish or something like that. I didn't even know he was Irish. I haven't seen too many movies with him besides, I think the only one I've seen is him as Bullseye
In Daredevil.
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Daredevil, which it was also fun to watch that. But Penguin, he was great. You could tell he really loves the role. And I watched some interviews. He wants to do more. He's excited about the Penguin show, and I can't wait to see that. Riddler, solid villain. I don't think he's the best live-action Batman villain we've gotten, but I think he's up there. Up there with multiple Jokers. But not being the Joker himself, I think he might be the best Batman villain we've gotten. Honestly, saying
could be
that.
up for debate, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's
I
a
can
couple
see it.
Penguins, there's, Two-Face and stuff like that, but the intensity, the charisma that he brought, like, you thought this man was insane, and he really believed what he was saying. And, I mean, I wasn't ever scared of him, but, like, I could tell he was doing his best, and he really believed what he thought. And he was shocked when Batman didn't, appreciate the fact that he was doing all this for Batman.
Yeah, Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Great,
Paul
great
Dano.
performance.
Need to see more of his work.
Yeah, fantastic character actor. He was actually in the Steven Spielberg's The Fablemans that I got a chance to look at to watch. And he was great in that too. His
His
great
performance in Love
character.
and Mercy was one of the best I've seen of somebody portraying a musician or celebrity playing Brian Wilson. He was out of this world.
Yeah. He's something I need to see more of. And Joker, I mean, obviously there's spoilers for this whole video. Joker's at the end a little bit. I don't know how to feel about him. I think he could be good. I just need to see more. It's nothing I can talk about right now. Gordon, Jeffrey Wright, Westworld. Westworld is a great show.
Yeah.
That's where I first saw him. Actually, no, Game Night was where I first saw him. But Westworld is a great show. He did a great job as Gordon. I love Gordon from The Dark Knight. I love Gordon from '89. I love all Gordons. But I think each one has given us something different, and I appreciate that. I don't think anyone's tried to copy what the other ones have done. And I really like the relationship he had with Batman, where you can tell they respect each other, but they also want to do the job the right way. And that scene where they're like whispering to each other is
Oh, that's a
hilarious and
great
also
scene.
amazing.
That's a great scene.
Falcone, John Turturro,
I was not expecting.
Transformers,
I know.
Sector 7. He was good.
Yeah.
He did a good job. I wish he didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what they do with the story.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the fact that they threw me off with him being the father figure to Selena.
Mm-hmm.
And the drama they had, and he did have respect for the Waynes and Batman, and it shows a soft side of the dark side of what the Waynes were, but they're also still good, and he was trying to help, but he was also a crime lord. And so there's a lot of layers there that I appreciated that Matt Reeves brought to the table. Alfred was not in it enough. It's fine for now. I need to see him more in the sequel and the third film. I was excited when I heard I'm blanking, but Gollum. Andy Serkis, man, I am just blanking today. But Andy Serkis, I was excited when I heard about him being Alfred, but he was only in 2 or 3 scenes. Like I said, it's fine, but I need to see more before I can actually judge. And last but not least, Batman, Bruce Wayne. Robert Pattinson. A lot of people have been complaining about his Bruce Wayne performance. I think it was what we needed. It was different. It was exciting in a dark way.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was almost like an emo Bruce.
Like a rock star.
Which realistically in today's day and age, if both your parents got murdered when you were 8, what would you be?
Right.
You have a lot of money, but you're alone, you're depressed, you're sad, and at nighttime you go out beating up people. So you would kind of be that way. And so Bruce Wayne, I really liked it. I would like to see him change in the sequel. I would like to see him become that persona of, the billionaire playboy, which I think he can be.
I think he will be, actually.
Yeah.
I think Reeves kind of, especially the ending of that film, I think we're going to get that.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. To all you people who hate it, I think you should rewatch it and rethink about this. Not just one film, it's a trilogy, at least. Batman, perfect. We've had almost 2 perfect Batmans already, maybe 3. He was menacing. The sound design, whenever he walked in, you felt like there was a presence there. You didn't even see him yet, and he was there, which is how Batman should be. And he's been shown like that a couple times, but for some reason, the way it was explored in this film was just... It got into my bones in the best way possible.
Well, it was great though, because for The Dark Knight Returns, if you ever read the comic or seen the animated film, because he's older, he makes more noise, and some of the thugs are like, "Oh, this is freaky. He's never made noise before."
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because most of the time Batman is that ninja, but this time Matt Reeves wanted him to when he's coming. It's like you hear his footsteps.
It's almost like he's purposely stepping strong just to scare people.
It's very interesting.
That introduction sequence when he first walks in and then he beats up those thugs and then the electrocution, it was like...
That's a great scene, yeah.
Oh, man. I could keep going on forever. Perfect portrayal of Batman. Every detail was executed the exact way it should be. This is what I said the night after we watched it, which I still hold up to this day. Ominous yet calm, scary and methodical, and you can tell he still has much to learn, but he knows a lot already, which is what I love. It's almost like Year One and like Arkham Origins. Fighting style is phenomenal, brutal, and accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love the simplicity of those words that he and people they weren't excited about Robert Pattinson because of Twilight, which I've never seen, but I could understand the distaste towards that. But we got Affleck, and people didn't like him as Daredevil in a mask. So and he was great. So
Keaton
Keaton,
Mr. Mom.
Yeah. And so I don't know, you just got to give an actor their chance, and you never know, you might be surprised. But I think Pattinson killed it.
Oh yeah.
And the Matt Reeves direction for Pattinson, they both worked well together. So I really love Batman and Bruce Wayne in this. And as far as the acts go, I think all of them are really, really solid. I need to watch it again, but I think the third act is a little bit slower than I would like it to be. But as mentioned before, it's a trilogy. I think it would work well as like a 9-hour to 10-hour trilogy. And lastly, Gotham is the best iteration of Gotham I've seen on screen to date. Before that, if we're not talking about just live action, I think the Arkham games are the best. But this takes a lot from the Arkham games. It felt like you were there.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially watching it in the theater. Like you felt like the whole city was real, and it didn't
it's
look.
character.
Yeah,
It's own character.
yeah, character. It like Nolan's films, I love them, but you can tell it's either Chicago or New York or something like that. And then Burton's films are great. I think they were actually like art.
Yeah.
But this one, I think a lot of times they use virtual production, which they created from scratch, and it just you were immersed in the city itself, and you felt like you were with Pattinson's Batman trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And that's why I think this Gotham is the best iteration of that. Not to go too much into it, but that's my general overall review of the Batman and why I think it's the best as far as the characters, the story, and the city itself. Might go more into it later, but who's going next?
Wow, you crushed that.
That was great. Makes me want to watch the Batman again, actually.
I do want to watch the Batman again.
Yeah.
Guys, it's probably the most you're ever going to hear Justin talk.
I am really tired now.
All right. Well, I'm going to be going over mine right now, and it is The Dark Knight. Starting to see this trend happen, which I don't know, just in talking to people, where all of a sudden The Dark Knight has become, because obviously it is such a highly acclaimed movie, it's become this thing of it being overrated.
Stupid.
Wrong. Yeah, like
stupid.
It's just ridiculous. The Dark Knight isn't overrated in the slightest. It gets the praise it gets because it deserves the praise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just the best Batman movie. I think it's the best comic book movie, and I think it honestly is maybe one of if not the best movie ever made.
Yep.
Wow.
In my opinion, that's how strongly I feel about this movie. Now, in discussion of how iconic of a film it is, first I think we need to talk about the Batman in this movie. So we start off, second movie in an entry. Normally, if you wanted to tell a great Batman story, you would think that you would probably, the best entry would be something like Batman Begins, which is where we get the heart of the character, the reason he wants to be Batman. But this is doing that great thing that if a sequel can do well, is take the character and then put them through hell.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie does, because you end with this heroism of, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight for my city. I'm going to change this. But then the fight happens. And at first, when the movie starts off, it's working. What he's doing as Batman, that's something we don't get to see a lot. So we're fighting crime. Where's the progress? In this movie, after leaving Batman Begins, perfect transition, we get the progress. Criminals are scared. They're not coming out. They're doing their dealings at night. Starts off so brilliantly. Him figuring out more things and becoming Batman. We're starting off on an optimistic note.
Yeah,
we have Gordon.
That's true. I never really thought of that.
It's starting off optimistic. It's great.
A lot of them start off kind of down.
It starts off dark in the midst of, but here, it starts off with Joker robbing a bank, but we're not worried about him right now.
Yeah.
Let's focus on what's going on. So then you have Harvey Dent taking down the mob. Crime is getting decreased in Gotham. Everything's going good. But then comes what every great movie needs, a great villain. And very few villains can do the destruction that this Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, can do. He emerges, that as soon as you hear that laugh, everything in the movie starts to change. When he walks through that door, everything starts to change, and he takes down the city.
Yeah.
But how does he do it? He's not like Bane. He doesn't have the muscle. He doesn't have all these men. He has himself, and that's what I think is so great about this Joker, is how much he accomplishes. Like, yes, I know he doesn't have the highest death count, but he plays this more like this game of morale and this mental game with the entire city, as if he's trying to prove a point, but he's not really trying to prove a point. He just wants to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
And that's where he's going into this. So once he enters, everything shifts. He starts gaining control, and then we get the theme of the movie, which is so brilliant and so great for a Batman movie itself, is the question of why is he doing this? Who is he? What does he need to be? What does Gotham need? And then the real kind of main thesis of the movie would be you either die a hero or live long. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's such a great line.
It is.
It is a great line, and
I think it's iconic, actually.
Yeah.
it's become one of those like just iconic movie lines. So then this movie, we have so many different characters that we're looking at the perspective of. I don't think any Batman movie utilizes characters like this one does, because when we are with Gordon, we are with Gordon, we are with Bruce, we are with Harvey, we are with this team together, just like Long Halloween.
Nice.
We have this like amazing play out of each of them trying to take us on in their own way. But now that Gotham's starting to clean up, they realize they need the White Knight. They need Harvey Dent to be the face of the city. Batman doesn't think they need him, and he's starting to get this idea of, can I live this other life? Can I be with my love? Can I be with Rachel? Sad reality is, once Joker comes in the picture, he cannot do that. I think one of the best lines in the movie is when Harvey's screaming at Bruce. It's so subtle and so quick. But when he's like, well, then why am I the only one who lost everything? And then Batman breaks for a second. All of a sudden, here's Bruce. And he's like, you weren't.
Yeah.
Because he lost everything too. But, so is Batman going to stop? Is he going to come out and pronounce himself as Batman? Because as soon as if he's keeping it to himself, Joker just keeps killing people. What's the right thing to do? Alfred, who was against him doing this in the first place, he realizes right now in this dark time in the city, what does the city need? It doesn't need, he says they needed Harvey. Alfred's like, they do need Harvey, but for now, they'll have to get you. And that is just so great, because it's this question of, should he keep being Batman? Can he be with Rachel? Can he have this life? But then at the end of the movie, which I think Dark Knight Rises messed up a little bit, but it's okay, because at the end of the movie, he can be that. I killed those people. I can be those things. You'll hunt me. You're something like,
But the Joker can win.
The Joker can't win. And that's the beautiful thing about this movie, is it's not just dealing with themes of who Batman is. It's dealing with themes of the human spirit. It's dealing with the theme of Joker wanting to prove that everybody is dark and twisted, and as soon as they get this chance, they're going to go for it, and they're going to kill each other, because the world is just chaos.
Yeah.
And Bruce, or Batman, is trying to show him the opposite of that, and he knows how important this is for the city, because while it's not people's lives at stake anymore, they stopped the Joker, they got the people off the boat. What's the spirit of the city going to be like? What's the spirit of the people going to be like? And as you said, like Gotham being kind of its own city, as being a character within itself.
Yeah.
Here, Batman is fighting for the one he loves. Now it's not Rachel. The one he loves is Gotham. That is his city. That is his people.
Yep.
So you will sick the dogs of me. I'm going to be the person. I'll take the blame, which is why I think he should have kept being Batman. Because like, what? You can just go into hiding? That's not like, come on.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises has a lot of problems with there's a lot of problems with Dark Knight Rises, and I think it actually undermines a little bit of Dark Knight.
Dark Knight's ending too.
And I still think that Rises is a pretty good film and a pretty good conclusion, but there are things in it that's like, man, he could have done a little bit more drafts. I get where you're going for Nolan and whatnot, but I just feel like Dark Knight is just like the cap of everything.
It's like, if you look at it as its own movie, it's great. But if you look at it as after Dark Knight, it's got some problems.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, if you just, and also if you leave the Dark Knight just where it is, where he runs off as, a Dark Knight.
Yeah.
If you leave him off as that, that's a brilliant ending.
Yeah.
The thing that this movie does is, there's a lot of movies that feel like an experience when you watch it, but when you watch The Dark Knight, for some reason, when you put that on and immediately when you click play, you are so exhausted by the time you get out of it, because you feel like,
yep, I agree with that. Yep.
But in a good way.
Yep.
Because you feel like you just went through all of this with these people, and then it ends and you're like emotionally drained. You go through the whole thing with Bruce, and again with the fleshed out characters. I think Alfred, Gordon, Bruce, Harvey, Lucius,
Rachel.
You have all of these characters who are like not just there. They are important to the story. And that's
Yeah.
something that Batman movies have always lacked. I think they're so focused on Batman, but there's so many great people within his world that are so crucial. And this movie, I mean, the Christopher Nolan series as a whole,
Yeah.
but this movie in particular makes it where everybody has a chance to shine. Everybody gets a chance to represent. Everybody has their own arc. And
Even-
an arc that is actually explored and fleshed out.
Even the small role of the annoying reporter who Bruce ends up, saving.
Yep.
He's got probably like 5 minutes in the film.
Yep.
And you hate him, but then right after he saves him, he's like, "Oh man, that was actually a good little redemption arc right there."
I love that. Yeah.
Like,
The other thing that this movie has to offer is obviously some of the most iconic scenes and lines, and just this movie has reached a level, rightfully so, with Star Wars, with Rocky, with The Godfather. You look at this movie and you see cinema. You see
yeah.
you see Heath Ledger's Joker and Batman and Christian Bale's Batman, and it is just like, that's going on the greatest of all time list right there. That's just brilliant. Too many great scenes to pick from. The interrogation scene.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
As the music starts getting louder, as he's just laughing and you can't stop him. That was the other point that I did need to bring up, is the genius of the Christopher Nolan series is something that all Batman should do, is that the whole idea of him not killing is actually a crucial story element in this,
Very
because
much so,
now the criminals aren't afraid of him anymore, and Joker just wants to break this guy. He's having so much fun because Batman is unbreakable, and that's what he tells him at the end as well.
Yeah.
But to Joker, this has just become this like game of like,
Yeah.
how can I get to this guy? What do I have to do? And he's just eating at him, and he's talking about Rachel, and as he can't do anything unless he kills him. And Batman wants to kill him.
Yeah.
Like in that scene, like he's just done so much damage, but he will not break. And Harvey does break. And you're kind of following the Dark Knight and the White Knight. Harvey breaks, Bruce doesn't.
Which is interesting because the Dark Knight doesn't break and the White Knight does break.
The White Knight does
Yeah.
break.
The one who shouldn't have.
The one who shouldn't have broke. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so Batman has to see this through, of him not killing, of him sticking to who he is and what he believes in, despite everything that's happening at that particular moment. So, but yeah, the interrogation scene, the party scene,
Oh.
the 360 shot is just,
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
it's
the
brilliant.
Writing there, the performance from Heath Ledger right there is just phenomenal.
freaking like,
Scared Michael Caine when he walks in the door.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
yeah.
I think probably one of my, I don't know, just one of the coolest scenes ever is the homage to 89, but
Oh yes.
done better, I think, in this movie is the, I want you to do it, I want you to do it. Come on, hit me.
Oh, I know.
Oh, that-
and you
yeah.
see Batman wanting to do it, but because it could have ended right there. But it's code.
And Joker just doesn't move.
I know.
He just stands there and waits for it.
I know.
Just to see what'll happen. Because if he dies, whatever.
exactly.
And it's just not even a thought.
If he
About
dies,
it.
he proves that Batman killed.
If he dies, he won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the game that he's playing, and that's the mental game that the Dark Knight brings to the table here. Now we're going to be going over to John for his entry, and John, yours is?
Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
You better do some good work.
Oh, I will. All right, boys. So, we obviously know that the animated series is probably the best version of Batman ever. I think that's pretty much everybody agrees with that. But, in my opinion, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman film ever made. So, most of the Batman films, they just kind of everyone wants to see Batman kicking butt and the villains and everything, but most of the films just kind of had the same beats to an extent. This film, however, is different. This is a deeply sad tale of love and destiny that should be watched by everyone. Okay, this is a story about that immediately reveals itself to be a deeply sad tale of love. I think most Batman films, they try to have a love interest, okay? In my opinion, most of those are just kind of cliche or just not really well written. This film takes that and runs with it. It's like, okay, no, we're gonna have a great love story, but a tragic love story. Okay, you have the armor that the Batman from the animated series that we all love and know, the definitive Batman, and slowly gets taken off and gets kind of stunted by this woman in his life. And you see him in these flashbacks as a man who's about to literally take on this vow. But then this woman comes into his life, and now he's questioning, wait a minute, what? She's coming into my life, and I love her, and this is great, but my vow, this and that. Like you start seeing this conflicted Bruce as a young man. Okay, the walls that Bruce built between himself and the world, between his tragedy, start to come crashing down as the film continues, scene by scene, going from the present, and then him as he's investigating these crimes. He's going to flashbacks of his past life with this woman as well. We're shown Batman, how Batman is defined not by his promise but by heartbreak. That's the difference with this Batman. Sure, he still has the vow from what happened with his parents and witnessing his parents die, killed. But in this Batman could have had a good life, but it was because of tragedy, without giving too much away, because of tragedy and heartbreak, he takes up that mantle. This is a Batman that is unfortunately destined to be the Dark Knight, but there was hope in his past. And what I love about this Batman is this version of Batman is alone, and we see, his billionaire persona. He has partners that won't hurt him. He stays at bay. Okay, the only people that he can show his true self is his parents' grave. Okay, and I feel like the best thing that the animated series creators and the creators of this film was really showing that Batman truly did have a great love, and it just resonates with me, and it's the emotions there, and yet this film is tight. It's only an hour and like 20 minutes, and it does, in my opinion, it does more with an hour and 20 minutes than what a 3-hour film, or close to another 3-hour film as well, tries to do. But it does it in almost half that. And I think that is literally incredible. This Bruce Wayne had a chance, a possible different future that could have, shaped him into a completely different man, a life without Batman. But what I love is that that Bruce will always, the tragedy of Bruce Wayne is he'll always be Batman. Okay? And the thing is, unfortunately, The Dark Knight, it does say that, which is awesome at the end. But in my opinion, Dark Knight Rises kind of ruins that.
Absolutely.
And of course for the Batman, he's still young, so that's a little bit different right now, so I can't really argue that. But for the Dark Knight, it's just amazing. But when you see Dark Knight Rises, it's like, it just kind of but the tragedy of Bruce, the tragedy of Batman is he will always be Batman until the day he dies. I think the love interest in this film is literally the perfect antithesis to Bruce, who is stoic and brooding, with a man with a mission. And here comes Andrea, who is the main love interest in the film, and she comes in and she is optimistic, happy, and trying to put a smile on Bruce's face, and he's just kind of like, what is going on here? but loving it though, and I love that. This Batman is put off with the thought that he doesn't have to live in misery, in the shadows, and pursuing torment, and thrown off with somebody who doesn't want that for him. I really feel like this film shows the pain of a character that could have had a better life, but destiny sometimes has a different idea in mind. Okay, I think this story rivals all the other films because it focuses on Batman as a character and his struggle to have a hand in his life, a hand on his life. I think the villain, the Phantasm, is a great original character that offers so much layers and pathos to Batman without giving much away. It is also a detective story too.
Yeah.
But it's a detective story. It's a Batman story that's done in a classical sense. You know, like we're talking about Citizen Kane level. These flashbacks, like it's Batman with Citizen Kane stuff. Like think about that. Classic Hollywood, classic storytelling.
Yep.
The 1920s aesthetic of the animated series. The animation is fantastic. The music by Shirley Walker is just so dang good. The voice acting, amazing. And I think to this day the animation is overall just classic and awesome. There is so much heart and true love for the character of Batman in this movie. I really think that love is not just to see Batman punching a couple criminals, but really show the psychology of a lost man who is grappling with so many odds. You know, Gotham itself. In the present day, you have this new threat of a villain called the Phantasm who is killing mob bosses left and right. And then for some reason, these are triggering his past memories. You have the Joker coming in as well, who throws a nuclear bomb into everything as well. And it's just like, and then his love interest comes back into his life, and that just complicates things. There's so much things that just hack him down in this movie, and it's just phenomenal. You truly care, and it is Batman's story as well.
Yep.
And I love that. He's not, and nobody is, not even. I don't even think. I mean, granted, Mark Hamill's Joker comes in and he does like really steal the show, but it's Batman's film, and I think for the most part, it is all about Batman and his struggle. Which sometimes one can argue that The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger, steals a show, but sometimes steals a show almost too much. I think the Dark Knight comes back, does a good job to bring it back to Bruce's dilemma as well, but sometimes I think the Joker steals it. This film is all about Batman. With the Batman, it definitely, that one does. Yeah. The Batman does focus on Batman a lot, and I think the characters surround the villains and the criminals and all the other characters surrounding him, I think help the Batman kind of come up.
It's probably like
and stand out.
90 to 95% Batman / Bruce Wayne.
I agree.
Featuring other characters.
Exactly, and I would argue. I mean, in this film, it's pretty close to that too. I think it's a great balance of Bruce and Batman in this film. But I think this film is the best since many. I think this is the best Batman movie because I think many films fail to have Batman as a centerpiece, like I said, and really outshined by most of the villains in most of the other films too, like from '89 all the way to, in my opinion, The Dark Knight. I think another thing too is I think most Batman films try to pose these questions of Bruce ending the cause, finding love, but in my opinion, like I've said, it's just, I feel like sometimes it's one-dimensional or cliche. I mean, with Rachel, without Batman Begins, you really wouldn't care. But in my opinion, even the character of Rachel is not as fleshed out. Like, I mean, she's fleshed out, but it's just not. I think it's more of like, we gotta get a love interest. We gotta have somebody who Bruce grew up with, and this and that. But in my opinion, Mask of the Phantasm does that completely different because it's a love interest who's the antithesis of Bruce. I think that is what's, opposites attract, and I think that's so much more. I think that's so much more engaging than just kind of the cliche thing of hey, we grew up together, let's get I love you, you love me, let's do this and that, or even Rachel being I think also Rachel is just like Batman and Harvey, where and Harvey Dent, where she wants good for the city as well, and that's all well and good, but like, I don't know, I just never really gelled with I do think that the emotion's there for Harvey with Rachel, but that's because of Harvey and Aaron Eckhart's performance as Harvey, or Two-Face. So I really feel like Batman Mask of the Phantasm is the definitive and definitively the best Batman film ever made. When that film is done, you feel good, like Batman is Batman, but then it's also this like gaping hole, and it's like, wow. And there's so many memorable scenes in that film. The one that gets me, and last time we watched it, was when it's a flashback of Bruce begging to his parents' grave, and he's just like, I don't think I can actually do this anymore. It doesn't hurt anymore. If I give money to the city, they can hire more cops. Just let someone else take the risk. And he feels that weight, and that weight of like, I don't know what to do. And ultimately, when you watch the movie, you know that tragedy, unfortunately, just comes back to Bruce. And yeah, it's so amazing. Guys, I really, really think if you haven't checked out Batman Mask of the Phantasm, please do. It's just phenomenal.
Some very, very, very good points here.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of thoughts about some of those. I was trying to wrap it up into the quickest summary I could. If I had to think about Mask of the Phantasm based off what you said, it's a film about love versus tragedy. If I had to think about The Dark Knight, I can't really sum it up in 2 words, but it's the line, like, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Breaking of a man.
So yeah, the breaking of a man. Like, what does it mean to become a hero?
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to give up? And if I think about the Batman, it's what I forgot to mention earlier, the ending scene, which a lot of people made fun of. I don't know why. The scene where he cuts the wire and falls down into the water. I don't know what people were expecting. I think they were expecting some great climax sequence, but it was literally just a simple scene. And when you look deeper, it's almost like he was baptized from becoming vengeance into a hopeful hero.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the Batman is vengeance versus hope. And I think those are the themes of all 3 movies. And I can't I can't fight any of them. For the sake of this debate, I think vengeance versus hope is very solid, but I also see both of your opinions. Like,
Absolutely.
love versus tragedy is phenomenal, and also being, what does it mean to be a hero? It's all 3 of them encompass Batman to a level that no other character can reach. And obviously that's why Batman is probably one of our favorite heroes ever.
He's so
Definitely my
versatile with all
favorite.
3 of these movies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Different eras of the character's life.
Mm-hmm.
Yours goes past and future. Yours is at the beginning of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yours has both of that. Mine is at that middle ground in his career.
Yeah.
So you see all these different elements of him being Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But then the great stories that can be told within all these different life moments
Yep.
for the character.
That's a great point. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I think one more thing I would add is I know you were talking about Rachel from the Dark Knight trilogy. Catwoman from the Batman is, I don't think, as much of a cop-out as Rachel is from the Dark Knight trilogy, because she's already an established character. She's not a new character. I think she was done really well. I think the relationship between her and Bruce wasn't forced. It's never completed because it's the first film, but I think there's so much more you could do with that. And I can't say it's better than Mask of the Phantasm, because Mask of the Phantasm obviously came first, but I think that there is potential to be somewhere just as good as that with an established character already.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think I can't really. I mean, the chemistry was there, but we have to see more of their relationship for sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I really do feel like this is the best love interest for Bruce as far as the writing and the development.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just to me, it's actually more of love and destiny
Yeah.
that creates tragedy.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so I think we all summed up our Batman entries pretty good. Those are all great reviews from everybody. But we do want to know what, in your opinion, is the best Batman movie out of these three options: Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, The Dark Knight, and The Batman. Vote for your favorite. And then if you want to leave a comment about what your own personal favorite Batman is, we will all be very excited to see all those options as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.